Hello and welcome to Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. This week, Nagel's Sources of Incommensurable Value. Many early role-playing games had a strong division between good and evil, so that violence was justified. In Ars Magica, many sagas are more interested in the results of the use of power than in the combat itself. In a saga that's relatively combat-sparse, I find it more interesting to make villains who have a different version of good than the player characters. It helps explain why the setting doesn't devolve into a series of firefights between magi. Nagel believed that there were at least 5 incommensurable sources of value. By this he meant they could not be collapsed into each other so that they could be compared on a single metric. When you have two people arguing about what is best, if they are each arguing from a different one of these 5, there is, according to Nagel, no way to resolve that argument. Nagel's 5 sources are specific obligations to organizations or people, the general rights of all people, utility, which means performing actions which provide the greatest good for the greatest number, perfectionist values, in which he includes anything that makes the meaning of being human expand. He includes scientific discovery, artistic creation, space exploration. And then personal projects. This can seem like the most difficult source of value to defend, but Nagel's point is that these draw dedication, sacrifice, and effort from people, so they can't be treated as mere selfishness. Many virtues and flaws can be mapped to one of these incommensurable definitions. To have a conflict between different forms of good, find one style of good, which most of your player characters are clinging to, and then design a rival whose metric for good is from one of the other lists. Alternatively, one trick I enjoy is pitting two characters who have the same virtue, but for different reasons, against each other. Ars Magica's virtues and flaws weigh heavily towards Nagel's specific obligations. That's a relic of game design. It means that you can most easily create a rival with one of the other 4 choices. I'd suggest that specific obligations encompass versions of clerk, church, close family ties, coven folk, craftsmen, guilds, custos, dependent, favours, friar, gentleman, gentlewoman, nobility, hermetic prestige, other heirs, hedge wizard, others in the tradition, knight, your lord, landed noble, your lord, oath of fealty, your lord, redcap to the order or your house, and peasant. Interest in the general rights of all people may be vested in setting in the church, which means that it includes features such as compassionate, friar, generous, guardian angel, pious, and true faith. I'd also put the indiscreet flaw here. Utility is a modern idea which allows you to bundle the suffering of some people as an excuse if it allows a far greater bundle of joy to land with other people. This isn't a usual mindset in most medieval writing, but there is a sort of bounded utilitarianism, avoiding truly atrocious things, which is often implied in the actions of the player characters. Why free a particular village of peasants from a horrible master? Why fight a particular monster to save people and decline to fight an even greater monster that might cause you harm? It's because the moral imperative to fight the monster is a bounded consideration which doesn't suit either the general right or perfectionist values. Perfectionist values can be expressed by drives such as ambitious, higher purpose, pious, true love in the chivalric sense, the enigma, and obsessions with impersonal goals like original research. And there are many personal projects which are expressed by an interaction between the virtues selected at character creation and the choices made when spending experience pools. The most obvious are ambitious, avaricious, compassionate, driven, optimistic, landed noble, and knight in the errantry sense. So, to recap, if your player characters, like many characters in Ars Magica, are usually driven by specific obligations to people or organizations, try creating enemies who draw their moral compass from one of the other 4 drives. Your saga may vary.